Hi, everyone. I'm Siobhan Sarna, and this is Petunia the cat. Thank you very much. I am with Evan Brand, who is what I call the third opinion guy. People reach out to Evan after they've gone to so many other practitioners to try to figure out what's wrong with them, whether it's mold or gut issues or hormones, all kinds of issues. Evan has been so successful in treating people. So Evan has a very, very huge following on his podcast. The first time I ever met him was from the Candida Summit back in the day. And we've been friends ever since. I've had him on my summits frequently, and it's a pleasure to always learn from him. So if you don't know me, you're just randomly on my email list from some of my summits. I've done 10 summits. I've written that book, Healing SIBO, and I love connecting people with really good practitioners with either their courses or some specialty that they have, and those of you who are health seekers. So I am a patient advocate. I am also a very, very diligent patient, not just advocate, but connector. So it's a pleasure to have Evan here. We're going to talk about some of his information that he uses to create protocols for his patients, and also a way for you to make your own protocols today with something really juicy. So this is just an opportunity for you to learn. As I always say, whatever you learn, teach today to your friends, your nail tech, your hairdresser, anybody will listen to you, because we have to get the word out that we have tools and techniques to be well. All right, Evan Brand, it's good to have you.
Hey, Siobhan. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining. If you go to the grocery store, it's really easy to see the mess that we're in. You look at the shopping carts, no judgment. You look at their skin, their hair, their weight, etc. And it's really, really easy, no matter where you are in the United States and certainly in other countries too. We're in a mess. And the obesity rate is high. Anxiety, depression, suicide, infertility, autism, autoimmune disease. I mean, I could bore you guys with the statistics, but I'm sure you know that there's quite a mess going on. It's this big conglomerate of viruses, toxins, EMF, emotional stress, adrenal issues, thyroid issues, hormonal imbalances, detoxification issues, and gut. And so my job clinically is running an online functional medicine practice where I'm taking people that have been to 5, 10, 15 practitioners before they get to me. They're already mad. They're already frustrated. They're already skeptical. They've already spent so much money. And here I am telling them that they still have not turned over the rocks that I'm going to tell you all to turn over today. And once we do turn over those rocks, we uncover things that have never been found before, things that have potentially come from your mother through the placenta, things that have potentially come from your grandmother. We see multi-generational toxicity clinically. And this is something that really explains when you look at a family and mom was depressed and anxious and overweight and had gut issues, and grandma was in a mental hospital, right? You see these things over and over again. And so I've been able to condense and convince everyone to look at these few key items I'll teach you about today. And once you do that, you're going to be able to significantly improve your outcome. So if you have 10, 20, 30 supplements in your supplement graveyard already, maybe we can implement some of that, but maybe we can make a clean slate for you and you'll end up with maybe 5 things that you have to do instead, but you'll have better results. So that's kind of the precursor getting into this. And really, when you think about gut, I hope that most people understand that your gut is probably driving a lot of your other symptoms as well. And so I'll kind of role play with you here and say that if you have a dysbiosis issue, that could be causing the anxiety, because the gut bacteria are going to be producing endotoxins, which aggravate and stimulate the nervous system. So if you're someone and you feel anxious right now, it could be stemming from your gut. Now, lifestyle, environment, all of that plays into it, but your gut can solve almost all of this. So anxiety, depression, chronic fatigue, low libido, skin issues, weight, those are really kind of the big things. If I were to summarize, where does the gut lead to? Well, the gut leads to all these other mental health and physical health issues as well. So I'm board certified in holistic nutrition, also a functional nutritional therapy practitioner. Should update this number. It's somewhere in the ballpark of 25 million downloads of my podcast. I hope you check it out. It's just called The Evan Brand Show. I've been posting episodes with other practitioners for 12 years now, 2,000 cases in the clinic. I work with people all around the world. 10 years ago, my story was I was a mess. I'm still working on myself. I think we all are, but I was trying to just go grain-free, gluten-free, dairy-free. I went to conventional doctors. I went to supposed GI specialists to fix my IBS. And then I got into probiotics and prebiotics and antimicrobials, spent tons of money, filled several giant Tupperware containers with supplements. And I really wasn't sure how to tie it all together, because you hear one guy say this and one girl say that, and you're really confused. So then I luckily suffered enough to fix myself, and now I help others. 9 practitioners is the average of people, how many doctors, practitioners they're seeing before they get to me. I need a new picture here because we've got another baby. We've got Emma, who's 14 months old now, but I've got 3 kids, and those kids, they keep me busy, but also it's allowed me to become a really, really good functional medicine practitioner for children as well. So half my practice now is children, and this is 1-year-old to 22 years old. So in regards to diet, you may have played with some of this already. Maybe you've done GAPS or autoimmune paleo or keto or pescatarian or vegetarian or vegan or carnivore to try and solve your issues. And I have a lot of friends and clients and practitioners that have felt really good in some of these places. However, I don't think you can eat your way out of this, and I'll show you why. So our priority list for today, I want to show you some of the right functional medicine labs that hopefully you've already had done. Maybe your practitioner wasn't an expert at reading them or interpreting them or making a protocol to fix you, but at least hopefully some of this stuff is already familiar. And then also we're going to look at some case studies and some protocols. And then also what I consider the #1 puzzle piece holding you back from actually achieving whatever kind of outcome you're looking for. So when you're using the proper labs, you're going to be able to make a protocol, because once you do it 1,000 times, you go, okay, that's high. That means this. So we need to use that. And really, it's much easier, and you save a lot of money because now you're not guessing. You're not just stuck on a webinar. This guy's going to sell you on this new probiotic, soil-based this, soil-based that. You don't need to do that. I'll just show you what I've already done. And if you follow it, you're going to succeed. These are some ballpark numbers of what I've seen clinically. About 75% of people are totally hopeless. They think that they will never get better. And so they literally tell me, Evan, you're my last ditch effort. You're literally the end of the rope. Like, some people threaten that they'll end their life if I don't fix them. And that's a very intense situation that I see clinically. And fortunately, we haven't had anyone do that. And we have many testimonies of people say that I have saved their life by helping them out of the deepest, darkest places of depression with their mental health that was primarily related to the stuff I'm showing you today. I'd say about 95% is my success rate. And within, give or take, 6 weeks of a protocol, if it's done right and it's done based on your labs, you should be in that. The 5%, it's something that we've missed. And truthfully, this kind of comes down to budget. So we'll have a case where we'll see gut dysbiosis, we'll see mold, candida, parasites, but then they didn't have the extra $600 to run the Lyme and co-infection panel. Turns out later, when money comes in and they can do that test, hey, they had Bartonella, which is a bacteria that can massively screw up your gut. And I had Bartonella myself. This is an infection that comes from mosquitoes, ticks, fleas, and lice. Bartonella causes a lot of issues with the capillaries. So these people may have neuropathy, cold hands, cold feet, brain fog, low sex drive, but they also have gut issues. So really, I could say 100%, but 95 is because 95% of people are getting everything done. And if I see all the puzzle pieces, I can fix you. But if I'm missing one key piece of data like that, then you'll be in the 5% that maybe doesn't succeed initially. I won't bore you with my story, but it was a long journey, and I'm still on the journey of trying to just fix every little thing. When you peel back the onion, it's like, Lord, there's another layer to this thing. So fortunately now I'm very stable. I did think, though, like, what if I'm stuck this way forever? Maybe I should just take the drug. Like, at one point I considered, I was like, okay, what if this IBS drug would really calm down my gut and I wouldn't have to run and go poop 5, 6, 7 times a day? And I was like, I can't. I know this issue is not a drug deficiency. Yeah, it could give me relief, but what's the side effect? What about nutrient deficiencies or other issues? And I really didn't want to play with that. So I can say that I have not done any pharmaceuticals. I haven't needed them to get myself better. I don't think you need them either. And there may be a time and place, but overall, long term, we can fix this stuff holistically. But I was too stubborn, so I did not go into the pharmaceutical route. But why I failed for the longest time is because I wasn't doing functional lab testing. I was doing blood work, and that didn't reveal much. I didn't have any clear direction because I wasn't running the right biomarkers. And then my progress was kind of limited. Like I'd play with diet, and feel a little better, but didn't fully get out of the woods. So once I found the right testing, then I found the answers. So it looked like this on paper. This was my first stool test that I ran on myself. I had cryptosporidium and giardia, which some of you truthfully could have picked that up this summer. I hope that you all were out and still out. It's not too late. Maybe you're out in the creek with your kids, your grandkids, your great grandkids. Maybe you're out at the river. You're going tubing or water skiing or swimming. Occasionally you'll see these articles come out. Massive outbreak at public pool. It's typically cryptosporidium, which is a waterborne parasite that thrives in warm water. So lakes, rivers, creeks, streams, pools, most of the fresh water is contaminated with these parasites. And if you swallow the water, you get it up your nose because you jumped off a cliff and hopefully didn't hit your head on a log. You could potentially get exposed to these parasites. These are not rare at all. I see it literally every single day clinically, and you can use different nutrients to fix these. But this was my story. So I immediately felt less depressed, and my IBS significantly calmed down just by fixing these. Once I treated the parasites, then I showed positive for H. pylori. The mechanism of H. pylori is really important for all of you because about 51% of the world population has it. H. pylori is a bacteria. It damages what are called the parietal cells, P like Paul. So these cells make and secrete stomach acid. Hopefully you're familiar with this idea already that as you age, you make less stomach acid. When your digestive fire turns down, you're less efficient at converting plants, meat, whatever you're eating, converting that into the micronutrients that then fuel your brain chemistry, fuel your hormones, and help you get through life with healthy skin, healthy sleep, healthy libido, etc. The problem is you compound age with stress, with infection. Now you have a triple whammy. Your digestion falls apart, your hair falls out, your skin doesn't look as good, you lose the collagen, so now you're going and getting Botox. It's not a Botox deficiency. If you fix the gut, you improve digestion, you can make your skin look way better. We can run cortisol panels. I do talk about this in a lot of my work, which is that the impact of cortisol on the gut. The main thing is when cortisol is too high, but typically in the modern world, and I've seen this much, much worse in the last 5 years, most people look like this on paper. This orange line represents cortisol function. And as you can see here, this was me. This is kind of what burnout looks like. So it was like I charged my iPhone to 40% and I was going to try to make phone calls all day. I just never really got into that proper range. So this is an extremely common picture, and you can fix this. I've got a ton of case studies and great success stories. One in particular was a therapist of mine, not my therapist, but a client who was a therapist. I don't have a therapist. Maybe I need one. I don't know. I'm curious what your all's experience with therapists are. My argument is they should implement testing into their practice, because my client Rebecca actually did. She now tells people to go get a stool test if they're depressed, which I love. So anyway, she was a therapist that she was so stiff and so much pain and had digestive issues. She literally could not get out of her therapy chair. So when her patients would come in her office, she would just wave to them as they come in, and she couldn't get up out of the chair because she hurt so much. But her story was that I helped take the psoriatic arthritis on the pain scale. 10 was the worst. She was an 8. So I took her from an 8 to a 1 in 4 months. And then also regarding her 10-year-old daughter right here, she said, my 10-year-old daughter also sees him, and I cured her widespread psoriasis, resulting in a huge boost to her confidence. So that was great. Also, Diana, this was a woman, her feet were so swollen due to eczema, looked like a 3rd-degree burn. So she had to wear 3 sizes larger than normal shoe size because of all this. And after taking the supplements that I recommended, after a week, her eczema was gone. The only problem left is that she needed smaller shoes. So that was cool. Angela Gomez, this was one of my international clients, amazing woman. She didn't need to take a nap anymore. So that's always fun if you can get rid of that midday nap. You know, think about, if you fix your gut, what are you going to do? Because a lot of us, we have this fantasy, right? Like, I'll be happy when, I'll be content when. So I encourage you to just kind of check in for a minute, and I'll slow down and breathe, and I want you to breathe with me. I want you to think about, what would I do? Where would I go? Who would I see? Who would I be with? Would I take that cruise? Would I take that road trip? Do we jump in the camper? Like, don't just get caught up on chasing the symptom. I think that's very important, especially if it's painful enough and acute enough or chronic enough that that symptom's just in your face all day like a check engine light. But I want you to really just settle in for a minute and think about, where's the next chapter for you? Maybe you get more energy and then you can pursue this side job, this side hustle, this side project that you want to do. Maybe you've got home renovations you need to work on, but you're too overwhelmed, or you'd like to go take a trip somewhere, maybe a cruise to the Bahamas for a few days and back, but your symptoms are holding you back. And that's why I do this. Is it great for me to see the piece of paper look better and see that we fixed an infection? We cleared it. It went from detected to not detected. The candida went from high to low. The mold went from high to low. Yeah, sure, that's great. But at the end of the day, I care about, how does this improve your actual day-to-day life? Is your marriage better now? I'm going to get into that in a minute, how this stuff actually impacts your relationships, how this impacts your sex life, your marriage, your finances. I mean, I have so many people that they miss work because of their symptoms, or they can't get back to work because they're too sick or too tired. And so now there's financial stress just because their gut's messed up. So literally the stuff I'm teaching you can help you make more money because I can get you back to work because you're going to have so much energy and feel good enough. So settle in on that, think about that, and let's manifest some good things together. So really, if you want to save others, I mean, this has to start with you. So maybe you want to get into some volunteer work, or you're going to work at a shelter and help animals or help other people, or volunteer somewhere. Like, you can't really do that if you're too sick. So really, we got to fix you. And that's very important. Some of the threats to your microbiome, I know you're familiar with this already, but antibiotics, whether it's a dental procedure, whether it's food supply, glyphosate, even parts per billion of glyphosate. I just saw a guy spraying it this morning. It always makes me a little mad. I was on a bike ride, and down here in Florida where I am, there's a lot of pine straw. So not much grass in this particular part of Florida, which I love because grass is kind of a waste of water down here. And so anyway, this patch of pine straw, there was like one little tiny weed, but this guy is just pumping, and he's walking through everything that he sprayed. And we know that even parts per billion of this glyphosate kills beneficial bacteria in the gut. And when you kill off the good microbes, all of a sudden you're making less B vitamins, so you become more fatigued. Also, we know that glyphosate is going to tear up the gut barrier. So just a simple thing like that guy, he's already ruining his gut by just simply walking through his spray. He's going to end up contaminated on his shoes. Hopefully he takes those shoes off before he goes in the house, but the spray will likely end up on his hands. The drift, it was a little windy, the drift back onto him. And you may say, well, I don't spray that stuff, but it's in the food supply. The Environmental Working Group published a lot of data on strawberries, for example, and the most contaminated strawberry was 22 different pesticides in a strawberry. So if you go out to like a tennis match or something, you guys are having like a cute little luncheon together and there's strawberries on the table. If they're not organic, I literally wouldn't eat them. And you may say, okay, well, what, you want me to starve to death? And I'm going to say no, but I want your gut to be healthy. So I'm to the point now where I don't eat fruit and don't touch fruit unless it's organic. I just don't think it's worth the risk. So the pesticide exposure there is a massive, massive threat to the good microbes that we're trying to build up. And remember, these good microbes are what are going to help create and manufacture vitamins so that your mitochondria work, so that your energy works, so you have enough physical output to ride a bike, go on a hike, go on a walk. Or when you were at your sickest, if you were like me, I literally got exhausted walking down my hill to the mailbox and back. I mean, that was just embarrassing. And my mitochondria looked bad on paper, partially due to mold. So we're going to get into that too. But pollution in general, whether it's pesticide, heavy metals, chemicals, this stuff all adds up. This is a cool picture. You may think, okay, my diarrhea or constipation or cramping or my bloating, my burping, my gas, that sucks. But underneath it, it ends up being potentially autoimmune disease. There's sleep issues. There's the skin, whether it's the psoriasis, the eczema. I mean, who knows? I mean, I've seen so many crazy skin issues, you wouldn't believe it. But this is really what you have to focus on is all of it. You don't just want to take a probiotic and be done. You really have to fix all of it. So let me show you a little case study here. This is Megan, 26-year-old female. You can read her symptoms here. Primarily constipation. She had some diarrhea, but primarily constipation, anxiety, poor energy, skin, which you'll see in a second, mood issues, just sluggish. She just felt like she's walking through mud trying to get through her day and get things done. Weight loss issues. So she was kind of stuck trying to get that last 10, 20 pounds. So she sent us some pictures, which I love pictures. On the left here, I mean, this is some pretty deep pitting here. Not good. Definitely some imbalanced patches. I'm sure there's a more fancy term for all of this, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. Now, maybe she put a little eye makeup on here. I don't know. Obviously, she's more tan. The lighting's a little different, so don't hound me too much here. But you can clearly see massive, massive improvement. And this was in 3 months. So on average, depending on how severe the issues are, and obviously, if your skin is not a problem, then this doesn't apply. But the skin is really the external manifestation of what's happening internally. So if you have a nasty toenail fungus and the toenails falling off, well, that tells us internally there's something really, really wrong. And you doing some topical or even a pharmaceutical for that's not going to fix it. So in her case, we just fixed the gut. And 3 months later, her skin looks absolutely incredible and her confidence is through the roof. So that is just worth $1 million to me. Conventional medicine approach to these type of issues. Well, dermatology is going to give you steroids or maybe antibiotics, who knows? Gastrodoc's going to give you some type of drug, right? It's going to be a proton pump inhibitor, dangerous. Some type of antispasmodic drug, not good. Psychiatrist will put you on lorazepam or Lexapro, not good. GP may put you on a sleeping drug. Maybe they're going to put you on trazodone or Ambien. Very, very bad, very difficult to get off of. Or maybe they just throw you on some thyroid medication. And that's it. Your thyroid looks fine. Have a good day. Well, functional medicine approach, I'm going to come in and do things differently. And I just want to give a brief mention to what's happening in the health industry now, even in the last 5 years, is functional medicine. And that term functional medicine has become a marketing term. And there's many naturopaths, integrative medical doctors, et cetera, that are using that term, but they're not really doing real functional medicine. And I'll show you more of what that looks like. But I just want you to be aware that not all personal trainers are created equal. Not all functional medicine practitioners are created equal. So what I would do in a case is I'm going to come in with maybe some natural antimicrobials or antifungals. We may use specific amino acids for the brain. We may use binders for detox support, and then we may use herbs for sleep, for the adrenals, for the thyroid. So that's kind of your compare and contrast there. This is what a typical protocol can look like. So if you take someone who has various infections, this is how we'll fix it. It'll be something like adrenal support, some brain chemistry support. These microbiome supports, these are formulas I've used thousands of times. This is a custom blend. Some of these are antifungal. Some of these are anti-parasitic, some of these are antimicrobial and gut soothing. So usually we'll run something like this for 2 to 3 months, and then we'll reevaluate. Reevaluate doesn't mean spend more money on testing. It just means check in and see what kind of progress we're getting. I use a lot of Saccharomyces. I use quite a bit of liver support. And then in almost every case, we're using some level of digestive enzyme that could have some extra ox bile, some pancreatic support, some HCl. I do a lot of Petri dish testing. This is something that I'll teach you more about, but if you have not tested your environment and you've suffered with gut, mood, fatigue, hormone imbalances, irritability, rage, anger, those sorts of emotions that are intense, you feel like a crazy person, you should probably look at your environment, because for a really, really low price, you can look at your home. And there's other tests out there, but I found the most success and the best bang for your buck out of doing a Petri dish test like this. And just want to be clear. So when you're in a building that's had water damage, which even today while I was making lunch, I have a water alarm under my kitchen sink, and beep, 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 it goes off. I'm like, why? Why is that beeping? So first of all, I got to figure out where it's coming from, because I have water alarms everywhere. Under every sink, I have water alarms. You can buy these little things at like Home Depot, Amazon. As soon as they get the tiniest little moisture on them, they start beeping really loud. So first I had to figure out which one it was. Turns out it's under the kitchen sink. Get the little flashlight out, and sure enough, there's water leaking out of the hot water line. And this house isn't even a year old. It's like, okay, so here we are again with a water issue. And if this thing doesn't dry out in 48 hours, you're going to have some mold growth. That mold off gases mycotoxins. Those mycotoxins get breathed in by you, the innocent bystander, which would have been me by Sunday, 3-4 days from now. That would have already started to grow, that wet wood under the in the island there, under the kitchen sink. So these mycotoxins you breathe in, those break open that gut barrier. So even if you say, Evan, my diet's perfect, I'm eating this and not eating that, just like everybody tells me to do. Well, listen, if you're breathing in these mycotoxins, you're still going to have an issue, likely with your skin, with your mood, etc., because these mycotoxins are going to bust open the gut barrier, just like food allergens, food intolerances will. So that's why I'm saying you can't eat your way out of this stuff. The GI map is the stool test that we run a lot. It's probably the best one out right now. There's some competitors, but I find a lot of other competitors miss things, and I don't get paid by them to tell you this. This is just clinically what I'm having good success with. These are some pictures of various infections, H. pylori, Giardia, nasty, nasty bugs. Who should have something like this done? Well, I'd say literally every human, because 99 out of 100 people that I test, there's some level of dysbiosis, meaning bacterial imbalance, but especially people that have autoimmune disease of any kind, IBS, irritable bowel diseases, any kind of digestive complaints. Like if you're literally scaring your spouse out of the bed with your smelly gas, then you need to figure this out and you need to run one of these so we can investigate. Like, it's not normal to clear a room. I know some of us men think it's funny, but it's not. And I was talking with my wife today because I was reading a paper that was saying the average person farts 13 times a day. And I asked my wife, I'm like, honey, how many times have you farted today? I haven't heard any. So have you let any little sneaky ones out? And she said, no. She said, you know what? She says, there's a lot of days where I don't at all. I'm like, cool. So that's fun. And that's a healthy little statistic there, that not everyone is farting 13 times a day. And to be honest, I think that's likely some level of indication that something's off. If your gut is calm, your microbes are balanced, you don't have infections, etc., you really shouldn't have gas. Same with burping. I know I'm primarily making fun of men here for a minute, but we'll try to do things to make our burp louder or longer or whatever, and that is also not normal. And typically that's associated with what's called hypochlorhydria, which is low stomach acid, and we can resolve all this. So brain fog, many people can relate. Keep in mind the virus that's still going around, which one I'm talking about, as well as the injection, that also can cause a lot of issues with the ACE2 receptors in the gut, creating a lot of long haul issues, including brain fog, digestive complaints, hair loss, hormonal imbalances, infertility, weird menstrual bleeding, menstrual cramping, even in menopause, weird stuff. So I do have protocols for that I'll be able to open the doors and let you access that if you want. Any kind of mood disorder, so bipolar, depression, anxiety, you really need to get stool testing done. Diabetes, weight loss issues, you just can't lose the last 10, 20, 50, 100 pounds, then this is something you need to investigate. It is true that bacteria can make you fat or they can make you skinny. And also mold toxin affects hormones. So that's some geeky stuff. I don't think I put a study on that in this presentation today, but I recently found that there are basically fat hormone changes or skinny hormone changes that can happen based on certain mold. So what I'm telling you is, if you moved into a new home, you don't feel like anything else changed, and you gained excess weight, or you lost weight like I did, I lost about 25 pounds without trying, that could be tied into the hormonal changes happening due to the toxins. So kids too, if you have kids, grandkids, great grandkids, they really need functional medicine too. Our kids on this planet right now are in big trouble. Unfortunately, it appears, based on me testing so many kids, that children under age 10 are the sickest, most toxic people on planet Earth, far more toxic on paper than 80-year-olds. So your 80-year-old parent or husband or whoever, they grew up in a world where many of these plastics and pharmaceuticals and hormones and other toxins did not really exist in significant amounts. These kids now are being born with 2-3 generations of toxins that are being passed through the placenta, through breast milk, et cetera. So what I'm seeing in the child population is absolutely insane. And we've seen some of the numbers just with autism spectrum disorder, for example, where now even the CDC, who I don't know what you feel about them, but their numbers are scary. So even their public facing numbers, you know, something like 1 in 30, 1 in 33 kids now is on the spectrum. And do you ever think about what's going to happen to society here in the next 20, 30 years? I mean, my kids are young now. I'm kind of worried because I'm like, well, if all these kids are that messed up, who's going to be the garbage man? Who's going to be the engineer to help build us bridges, and the car mechanic? You know, if all these kids are chronically fatigued and chronically ill at such a young age now, if you look up like chronic disease statistics in children, it's like a hockey stick. I mean, it's incredible how high the numbers have reached, but how will society not collapse? So this is really like my true mission, why I want you all to learn this stuff so you can help other generations. I'm only one guy here. So any of these issues in kids, pandas, I see a lot of that. These are autoimmune issues where these kids have sensory problems. They have sound and light sensitivity problems. This is a real big common issue. Sanjam, this is a girl that I was working with out of Houston, Texas. Her family came to me because she literally only ate Pop-Tarts. That's it. One food. I'm like, you have to be kidding me. This is insane. How has she survived 3 years on high fructose corn syrup, genetically modified wheat, soybean oil, artificial colors, flavors? I mean, this is just terrible. So this poor girl, loss of appetite, clearly, nasal congestion, skin problems, sleep issues, redness over eyelids. This is an organic acid test. You can see here she was 2 years old actually when she started with us. And this poor girl, she was massively colonized. She was actually growing aspergillus. You can see this marker here, number 6, tartaric acid. So this girl, they had water damage. There was a hurricane that hit Houston. Their house was water damaged. They thought everything was fine, but apparently not, because this girl's growing mold, and her arabinose, which is the gas that candida produces, was off the chart. So this poor kid, insane levels of candida, insane levels of mold colonization. And there's more. Her mitochondria were absolutely destroyed. So this marker here, it's called succinic acid. The higher this number goes, you can see here it's off the chart at a 90. We want less than 15. So the higher this number goes, this indicates more mitochondrial damage or mitochondrial dysfunction. Now, you probably already know this, but just a brief education. Your mitochondria are what produce ATP, which is the energy currency of the body. So if you want to lift weights, hike, ride bikes, go swimming, make it to the mailbox and back without being out of breath, go up a flight of stairs, etc., you've got to have adequate levels of ATP being produced by these mitochondria. But when you have mold toxicity, you're not going to be producing adequate levels of ATP. The guy named Dr. Brewer, he did a study on chronic fatigue patients and found out that 96% of all of his chronic fatigue patients had at least one mycotoxin. So this is huge. And at the end of today, Siobhan and I will talk to you about a course I've created where I'm going to show you how to read all these and run these on yourself if you haven't, or if you've already run them, great, you've already got the data. Let me just show you how to fix it. But this is a huge, very common problem. So here's her mycotoxin profile. Her ochratoxin's off the chart. This comes from aspergillus mold, which is probably the most common one we see in a water damaged building. Also mycophenolic acid. This is, oh, you know what I should have put in here? So I had a 75-year-old client a couple of weeks ago. Amazing guy. I just love talking to this guy, Alan. He's up in Canada. And he came to me after his nephrologist told him that he needed to get put on the kidney transplant list. She said, hey, you're at the end of your rope. Your kidney function is continuing to decrease. Dialysis is in the immediate future. Kidney transplants next. He wanted a second opinion. His daughter had worked with me and had amazing success with her gut. And so he gave me a shot and he said, okay, let me see if this guy can help. Sure, I've got a little bit of digestive issues, some reflux, but let me see if he can help my kidneys. Well, sure enough, he looked similar on paper to this poor little 2-year-old here. His mold levels were off the chart. So I thought, okay, we know the evidence is clear. Ochratoxin damages the kidneys. Mycotoxins across the board affect the endocrine system. Let's see if we can detox this guy and just fingers crossed. Well, the nephrologist ran new blood work. And for the first time in 4 years after tracking him, they do those little graphs where you can see kind of your numbers over time. Well, for the first time, all of a sudden, there's this massive spike in his GFR. GFR is the filtration rate. So this indicates the kidney health. And we would like to see 100 or so. This guy was in the 40s. This is just terrible, terrible. Definitely chronic kidney disease was his diagnosis. Well, all of a sudden, he shoots up 20, 30 points. And the kidney doctor says, this must be an anomaly. There was an issue at the lab. Something happened with your sample, etc. And I was kind of shocked. So I was like, makes sense. We got rid of the toxin damaging his kidneys, damaging his mitochondria. I think it's legit. But let me follow up with him in another 3 months. Well, him and I, we had our call a couple of weeks ago. They ran the blood work again. Guess what? The GFR is even higher, indicating the kidney function is even better. This guy's almost to a normal functioning, normal human kidney function level. I'm like, okay, what did the nephrologist say about that one? And basically, it's the typical, I don't know what you're doing, how you're doing it, but good job, keep doing it. When the previous conversation was the lab screwed up, the conversation before that was get ready to get a kidney transplant or get on the list. Good luck. So what I'm telling you is that in every branch of medicine, everyone is missing this toxicity. And so I figured it out. I'm going to teach you how to figure this out for yourself so we can get you better. And then hopefully you can save other family members. I'm sure you've got people in your family that's suffering and struggling. So her protocol, it really wasn't that complex, but we were using some binders, some probiotics, some antifungals up the nose and in the gut. Poor kid couldn't sleep. So we did give her some calming adaptogenic herbs. We did give her some electrolytes because your mineral balance gets screwed up. So are you up like 3, 4, 5 times a night to go pee? Maybe nod your head, even though I won't see you. Well, if you're peeing a lot, that's likely toxicity as well. Your kidneys are being affected. So we typically use electrolytes to help try to regain that mineral balance because mold toxicity affects what's called ADH, which is anti-diuretic hormone. So your hydration balance is really screwed up. We did some liver support, multi, and she got better. So this was the protocol. I won't spend too much time on it, but this was a lot of liquid because she couldn't take pills. So I do teach you protocols that can apply to children as well as adults, or maybe adults that can't or don't want to swallow pills. We can implement a lot of these liquid things. So we did some herbal liquid antimicrobials and antifungals to fix that. And this kid just, she took off. I don't have any pictures of her, but in terms of the success, her parents were ecstatic. They could not believe it. And now she's eating like 50 foods. So it's kind of amazing because going into this, I thought, okay, well, she's stuck on Pop-Tarts. What do I do? How do I fix that? And I really didn't try to fix that. All I did was fix everything else I found. And guess what? Now she wants to eat more food. So it's kind of remarkable. So really you have two options. It's continue what you've been doing. You could guess, you could check, you could buy this random thing, but you're really not specific. You're kind of waiting to get better. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to commit to following these protocols and I'm going to fix my issues and I'm going to follow a step-by-step approach. And that's what I teach you, where we're going to find your root causes. Because as you know, maybe you worked on thyroid. Maybe you worked on getting the silver out of your mouth. Good job. Maybe you worked on hormones. You did some pellets or some creams. Good job. Maybe you took some probiotics and enzymes. Good job. But maybe you didn't fully fix it all. Well, once you tie this thing together, you can actually resolve everything. So find your root causes, step 1. Step 2, follow protocol. Step 3, feel better. Pretty easy. So this is the bundle, and I'll pause here.
So it's called the Better Belly course, and Evan and I arm wrestle and I win. And so he agreed to add the Better Home course. And that's actually one of the first ways that I ever met Evan was I saw him on YouTube. And I'd already heard his podcast, but he was doing a new house tour and all the things he was doing to keep his house like mold free and green. This is many, many years ago. So I asked him to add the Better Home course. I want to just invite you not to be overwhelmed by this because you never have to open it if you don't want it. But it is a really, I'm getting ready to do some remodeling. I'm going to be reviewing it myself. also what you'll learn is the protocols that Evan uses and how to interpret these tests, the stool test, the oat test. The tests are not included in the price, by the way, nor is private time with Evan. So I always like to say that up front. It is not a substitute for a doctor's visit, nor is it a substitute for a visit with Evan. However, you are going to learn the techniques that he uses. And the course has gotten great reviews. We have $500 off, which is the best price Evan does for anyone for this course. And that coupon code is Siobhan. So Evan, keep showing your slides because they really do explain the course so well.
Yeah, let's have some fun, geek out for a minute. So
yeah.
I teach everything I'm showing you now. It's kind of the same thing you're going to see. You're going to see more of me. You're going to see more videos. You're going to see slides, more cases. This lady in her 40s who had no sex drive and had excess weight and couldn't sleep and lost her hair and whatever. You're going to see John, who his gut was a mess and, you know, he had erectile dysfunction and blood pressure issues and how we fixed him. So pretty much you're going to be able to look and kind of pick through this Rolodex, this carousel, if you will, of all of these different cases. And then also I'm going to encourage you and push you, which my office can help facilitate this if necessary, getting the data on you. So if you already have some recent labs, maybe you've poked around in the functional medicine lab testing already, great job. If not, we're happy to help facilitate it. We have international distributors too. So if you're in Australia, it doesn't matter. If you're in Europe, doesn't matter. Primarily my practice is USA, but this stuff can be shipped to you. So once you enroll, you reach out to my staff, hey, I need some data. Okay, fine. And we order labs for you. That's not included in the price, as she mentioned, but in terms of the cost of benefit, it's insane. I mean, how much is your feeling better worth?
Yeah. What if you're in New York? We got Miriam who's in New York.
So New York is annoying, but hopefully you've got a friend, a family, someone in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, something like that. Typically that is how we do it, and we get it to them in those states. But yeah, New York law, I don't know, they're silly heads. So we'll have to find another location to ship you to. Sometimes we can ship there. You just have to mark a different address to get it back. So you could email my office. We could tell you about the logistics of it.
Okay.
Okay, Siobhan, we want me to run them through kind of what I'm teaching?
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely run it through. Thanks.
Okay, so these are the modules. As you see, some of the videos are short, some are long. So if you enjoyed today, which literally, Siobhan, like no one has left. I don't know if you paid attention to the numbers, but literally every single person's still here. So that's good. So that means you must like the vibe of how I'm sharing and integrating stories and stuff. I do the same thing. So I'll teach you about where does your GI system get messed up, and I'll teach you some starter protocols. What about the ileocecal valve? What about testing strategies specifically for IBS? So that's module 2. We also get into the autoimmune gut issues. So Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, how we approach those. Whole thing on Candida. That is a very important piece, but not the only piece. We also talk about children with Candida, which almost every single kid I test has Candida. So that's the reason they're raiding the pantry, and you have to put a deadbolt on the pantry. It could be that. How do you restore HCl and enzymes without hurting your tummy? Because some people have bad experiences with hydrochloric acid and other enzyme supplements. I teach you how to integrate those in a gentle manner so you don't screw yourself up and damage your gut. Charity, this was just a testimonial, a woman who she took my Better Belly course and she loved it. So she said, this course has the answers even practitioners are looking for. So she was actually a health coach. I give you some handouts that you really need to know in regards to diet. So we didn't get much into diet today, but I do geek out more on diet and teach you, well, if your gut's doing this, try that. If your gut's doing this, do this. And so I will give you some handouts on that in regards to nutrition. And then you'll also get some protocol templates like this, where if you're too overwhelmed, you're too stressed, you just look at what you see and you follow it, and you're going to feel better. We have a whole section on SIBO and SIFO, and I'm constantly adding new cases to that. Also, we talk about the virus and how that affects gut health and what to do about that. Parasites, worms, what do you do after you fix the bugs? How do you actually restore your gut? Because really phase 1 is like fixing infections, calming things down, and then phase 2 is where you really build and keep your gut healthy so you don't relapse. Whole section on that. And then more case studies, and there's even more that you don't see here. This is just kind of the screenshots of it. The courses like this, where you're going to have quizzes. I get a lot of good feedback on the quizzes. They say, Evan, I really learned and retained the information because you force us to. And don't think this is like I don't know, the SAT where you're just miserable and anxious and biting your nails. No, these are like gentle, fun quizzes. So I'm just kind of like nudging you, like, hey, this is how you should, like, for example, right here, should you test your partner? Always test your partner. True. Like your partner could have these infections or pass between each other. Your spouse could be keeping you sick. Like that's important. You could print this stuff out if you want. You could print out protocol sheets, stick it on your fridge. That's what most clients do. Stick it on the fridge or put it. You know what I've seen is kind of cool. A lot of them put it on the inside of their cabinet. So when they open their
Yeah,
cabinet to grab their supplements, protocols are right there and they just follow it because, compliance is important. And then if you do want to pay for consult, that a la carte paid option is available. I'm in clinic a couple days per week these days. So I am available for that. I teach doctors and do a lot of practitioner coaching as well. So if you need further help in your practice, I can help. But for health seekers as well, I'm available. Sarah was another student, also another client. She had a huge, huge issue. But long story short, she feels good again. She has energy and seeing through the test that her body is healing and repairing. I think sometimes just having the data to prove on paper your mitochondria is better, your brain, your gut's better
it
is
helps.
is huge.
I do think so too.
As he says, test, don't guess with your health. That's kind of my motto. So the healthy home course, as Siobhan mentioned, I've been through the ringer with building new homes, new construction homes, even that leak today. Like here we are, I've got water dripping under the sink now. So I'll teach you about how do you mitigate that, dry things out, treat it. Um, and then once you're actually looking in your gut and your home, things make more sense. So we'll talk about EMF. I have lectures on that as well, like Apple Watches, not good. AirPods, not good. And I'll teach you how to measure that. And I can prove to you on paper that you're creating some issues. Go at your own pace. So if you're like busy and overwhelmed and kids are back to school or whatever, and you feel like I don't know when I'm actually going to sit down and do this, doesn't matter. I would just enroll now because Siobhan is literally the only person that I do a discount for. Otherwise, you're paying $1,500 and you're spending about $2,000 to get both. Whereas now with the coupon, $9.99, you're getting both. And this is lifetime access. This is not a subscription. This is not a charge you again next year and it's sneaky and you look on your credit card statement and you're mad. It's like one time and done.
Also, we throw in a summit that I did called the IBS and SIBO. What's it called, Clarissa? It's the ultimate summit. So I have some of the best interviews and master classes that we've done. I throw that in. So all you need to do is email us with your proof of purchase. When you do sign up, you will get the Better Belly access right away. And then manually Evan's team adds the healthy home. So it comes quite quickly, but it's not like you sign up for a course and you get the email. It's not going to have the healthy home. They have to add that manually because it's just one of those special things. Use Siobhan for the $500 off. Evan sells these every single week for $1,500 without any effort because of this podcast and his practice. So I really appreciate that, Evan.
Oh, you're welcome.
I really do. I want to get to some questions, but if you guys have ever, thought to yourself, I wonder what's going on, there is data that can help. And and Evan does update the course as well, which I only know 2 other people, myself is one of them, and Sinclair Canale are the only 2 people that I know of that update their courses. So they are living, breathing. When he tries something new and thinks it's like the cat's meow, he's going to update the course. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. Evan, let's get some questions answered here for you. Carla's saying, can Giardia stay in your gut, go dormant, and then flare?
I don't know. I would just say run a GI map and let's figure out if it's there. And if you have symptoms, I'm going to pursue it.
Okay. Let's see here. Been through the functional meds rounds 10 years ago with thyroid, migraine, leaky gut, and histamine issues were diagnosed. Stool showed candida, but no parasite. So just there's no name attached to this. Just wondering what stool test you did.
I would do the oat. I would do the oat and the organic acid. I would tell you to do that because here's the deal. Candida in isolation, very, very rare. And you'll see that in the course when we look at these case studies together, that Candida is really a side effect. And what I mean is Candida is coming because something else let it happen. Candida is very opportunistic.
Right. Felt better for a long time, but recently stressed events over the last 5 years have flared up symptoms like constipation, which I've never had before. So the question here is, now with going through the menopause, the whole host of new issues have raised their head. Where do I start again? Which comes first, healing the leaky gut or dealing with candida first, possibly SIBO? I can't do ferments, probiotics due to food sensitivity. So where do I start?
Well, so there's a lot there, but if you get a good oat test, we can see what's happening because the SIBO, the Candida, I'm also going to recommend you look at the mold, look at the mycotoxin profile as well, because who knows, you could have had exposure 20, 30 years ago that's still within you. If you don't genetically detox well, which is pretty common, that mold could be allowing that Candida to thrive. I'd put some money on the fact that if she tests a myco, we're going to find something there.
Yeah, they're saying that they had the O test and the GI map. That myco test is super, super helpful. And for those of you who you've tried everything, even though that's physically impossible to try everything, but you know what I mean? Like you feel like you've tried everything. You have to be exploring those mycotoxins because that's what I keep seeing in the SIBO SOS community. You can't resolve it. They've done everything right. And then they get tested for mold and they see that it's there, or Lyme. Debbie's asking, what test revealed your Bartonella?
Yeah, good question. So I didn't put it in the presentation, but it is in the case studies. It's called DNA Connections. It's a company out of Colorado that we use. And if someone's really, really stuck spinning their wheels, we do investigate that way. And it's very good. And it's a fraction of the cost compared to the competitor out of California called Igenix. That one's about $3,000. So we can get this other one done for about $600.
Yeah. Carolyn's saying, if you suspect heavy metal toxicity and candida, which do you treat first? She's heard it both ways.
Yeah, well, the cool thing is, like a lot of my protocols, the way I've designed them, and this is just primarily by clinical experience. So there's not like a study that says you need to do it this way, but a lot of times if there's candida, there's mold. And the mold detox protocols that I create also address heavy metals. So technically we're addressing all of it at the same time: chemicals, heavy metals, pesticide, candida, etc.
How would you know if a person should be tested for parasites?
If you're a human and you have a heartbeat, you should probably test.
Yes. Okay.
Or if you're a pet, you can get parasites. Pets have a lot of parasites too. So I have done some holistic vet work, just helping people that have sick dogs. Our dog got cancer. Rest in peace, Lucy. She had a tumor and she developed a tumor after mold exposure. So our pets are often the canaries. And yeah, pets can get sick from mold and other things too, candida as well.
Absolutely. Janet, what do I do for lots of peeing at night? You just mentioned it, but went fast. I go to a doctor who just seems to ignore it and I'm concerned. I'm presently doing antimicrobials for one bacteria. Any suggestions are appreciated.
Yeah, of course they're going to ignore it because they don't know what to do with it. So as I alluded to earlier, I would definitely want to see an oat and a myco on you because there's likely some level of toxicity affecting your kidneys. And if you just look at some of the protocols inside the course, you could run a basic detox protocol that I've created, run that for a couple months, reach back out to me, but I bet you'll be able to sleep through the night without peeing.
All right. Okay. Would diarrhea affect blood pressure?
Yeah, certainly, right? Because it's going to throw off your mineral balance. So 100%.
Okay. Let's see. We have just 5 minutes left. So, do you share a Candida diet guide plan?
So not a guide as in like, hey, here's a PDF, but I do have a lecture on specific Candida nutrition. And then also, what are you going to do supplementally? Because there's a lot of debate and confusion about it. I'm just going to show you what works.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. What about a Herx? That's a great question, Doris. What about Herxheimer's reaction die off during the program?
That should be very, very minimal, if at all, because I was a sensitive snowflake to where I could only take like a quarter of what I should be able to take. Like my children were taking higher doses than I could take because I was so sick with mast cell activation because of all these issues. I had Lyme, Bartonella, Babesia, mold, etc. And so the way I design protocols that you'll see, they're gentle enough to fix the issue. The die-off is minimal. I also do have a section on die-off reactions. What do you do? Typically, we're changing the protocol, we're reducing dose, etc. But it's very, very rare. In my opinion, if you are having bad die-off Herx reaction, then your protocol is not designed well. You're missing something, or it's too intense, or something like your body is telling you stop. And if a practitioner says to push through, they're wrong.
Is ropeworm a real parasite? I've seen conflicting info on this.
Who knows? Maybe it's mucoid plaque. Maybe there's real bugs in there. I don't know. If you get it out and you feel better, that's all I care about.
Susan is asking, do we have to purchase one-on-one appointments? No, you do not. Nope, 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 no, you do not. I've had so many people let me know how well they've done on their own with the course. So this is not about getting you an appointment with Evan.
No, I mean, and not that I don't want to do one-on-one appointments. I would love that with you all. Typically, I'm booked out about 6 weeks. 98% of the students, they've taken the course and they've done well and not needed or wanted any one-on-one time. It is available, but I've really cloned myself in a way to where you truly don't need me. So you should do really, really well if you follow what I'm telling you to do.
Evan, do you have a store for the supplements?
I do. So my site, it's called auraroots.com, AURA roots.com. I do carry and manufacture my own professional line, but it's not just my stuff. I also use other professional brands. And so I educate that in the course. Like some of these are other professional brands that aren't mine that we still use. So this isn't like some, pyramid thing to pump up my brand about supplements. I have a lot of good custom things, but I'm not opposed to using these other professional brands.
Okay, we are just about out of time. Does anyone else have any questions about the course? That healthy home course, look at that. You know what, Evan, next time we should get into the health, we should show a screenshot of the rest of the healthy home course, which you never need to use, guys, so don't be overwhelmed. But look, on the little baby thing, flooring options, he talks about hardwood and the different
Yeah, I've got it. I could pull it
oh,
up
you do,
real
can you
quick.
pull it up? Because I
Yep.
just wanted to show you that, because that's super, super valuable. And a lot of times we never think we're going to move or redo a room, and then eventually we finally do. And it's, you sit there. I mean, I've puked from carpet fumes before, so I don't want anyone to ever go through that.
Yeah, so this is the page for the healthy home. Can you see that okay?
Yep, it looks great.
All right, so then we get down, there's some nasty petri dishes. So we'll get down into the curriculum here. So it is everything from creating non-toxic living room, optimizing air quality, talk about fireplaces, indoor house plants, what I recommend, don't recommend, a gas versus electric stoves, talk about non-toxic laundry solutions, uh, creating an EMF-free bedroom. That's really important. How do you make like a home office without having to use wireless technology? Things you can do to improve your mechanical room, make your mechanical room less impactful on your sleep. So if your electrical box is like in your bedroom, that's a problem. What do you do about your basement? So if it's like musty, wet, whatever, how do you address your basement? Building materials, I've got a whole lecture on that. We've got some case studies of people's homes. A friend of mine who owns a mold company, we talk about top 10 ways to improve air quality. Dr. Margaret Christensen, she's an OBGYN. We talk about mold and candida in the home. And then we also have a mycotoxin resource guide and then a demo of how we're treating mold in the home.
Okay, so how much is the Healthy Gut and Home program? It is $9.99 for both.
Yeah,
With
you're getting both.
$500 off code. That's it, Celia. Sorry if it was confusing. So normally it is a lot more. Today you're getting it for $9.99, and you have to use the code Siobhan, which is my name, SHIVAN, and that gets you the $500 off. You receive the Better Belly course, and you do receive the Healthy Home course. So hopefully that helps, Celia. And if you look, Clarissa's been popping the link into the chat. Jean, I feel like I might have leaky gut, and I know that I have IBS and microscopic colitis. Would this program help me heal those issues?
For sure. Can't sign in blood, but yes.
Okay. And then let's see here. Oh, what are your thoughts on muscle testing? My GI map and vibrant stool test showed dysbiosis, but no parasites or infections. But a cell core provider muscle tested and said mold and Lyme co-infections which do fit my history to a T. Also, every full moon doing the cell core parasite cleanse, tons of stuff comes out. 2 years ago, food poisoning in Portland, Oregon, and still get bouts of bright orange diarrhea with orange blobs of mucus. The ND said, yeah, it can stay in your system for a long time.
Well, sounds like a little bit of a mess. Makes
Yeah.
total sense. Some muscle testers, I think, are worth their weight in gold, and it's probably pretty accurate. So I would definitely tease those things apart and pursue it. And if you're getting help and they're solving your issues, wonderful. If you feel like you're missing something, check out the course. It's the cost of 2 consults and you'll have it forever.
Right. Let's see. Okay, David is saying, I've had several GI map tests done over the years. The last one was last year. We're in August now. Obviously, the most recent, the better, but would any of these help me in the current point in time?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I'm not prescribing antibiotics, right? So everything we're doing is in the category of it will probably help and not hurt you. So some people, truthfully, due to budget, they go into this protocol because they based it on a case study. They saw someone in the course. They said, look, I'm going to follow this protocol. I don't have the money to do all the testing. And guess what? The majority of people feel better. I've done this 1,000 times, literally probably closer to 3,000. If it walks and quacks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So to answer the question, even if you don't have the labs, I wish you do, you're still going to get results. If you have a year-old lab test, I'd pursue it. I'd work with what you got. If that's all you can afford right now, you don't want to mess with the cost or the time of doing a new one, start with what you got.
I don't see oh, okay, hang on. So just Celia, I think you were asking about the Better Home course. So here's the Better Belly course. And you're right. When you check out, you will not see that, oh, great, you're getting the Better Home course, but you will. So that's because Evan doesn't usually give the Better Home course away. And so just this whole thing that you're looking at, which is the information page and how you order the Better Belly course, it doesn't have the Better Home course because that's an exclusive goodie for my community, our community. And then use code Siobhan to get the additional $500 off. So that's, you will receive it. Literally, Evan's team manually sends it to you.
Yeah, it'll be like a couple days at max that you'll have enrollment to the Healthy Home. But yeah, you're basically getting $900 for free because the Healthy Home course is around $400. Better Belly sells every day at 1,500. So we're basically just giving you 2 courses for the price of a half of the one. You know what I mean? It's pretty stupid deal, really.
Yeah, Tracy, I recovered from SIBO in March and I did carnivore for 6 weeks to help eradicate it. I'm wondering if you retested. Since adding veggies back to my diet, I've gained 14 pounds in a short period of time and cannot lose it. I'm keto, intermittent fast, do weights and cardio. What else can I do to lose this? All the weight seems to have accumulated from the waist down.
Well, as I told you earlier, you're not going to eat your way out of this. So like you're going to keep pounding the pavement and trying to tweak your diet. You're not going to get out of it. You need some data.
Okay. Let's see. So he tells you about the different tests, Maria, that he recommends in the course. Artie's saying, what do you think about drinking your own urine for disease resolution and stem cells as promoted by Dr. Edward Group?
Oh God. Well, considering that you're peeing out mycotoxins, and that's how we measure the toxicity of your body, we measure heavy metals in the urine, we measure chemicals, pesticides, mycotoxins. Your kidneys are filtering and excreting and creating urine for a reason. I think you could read between the lines on my answer.
Okay, and then David C. Yeah, I think you heard what he said about the testing. But hold on. Kendra, diverticulitis can be an underlying cause of SIBO because the overgrowth of bacteria can get caught in the pockets. Hang on, I just saw that other question I wanted to get to. I mean,
Regarding diverticulitis, check my check the autoimmune section in the course on the lectures there. My dad had diverticulitis. Unfortunately, he lost his intestines. Some of them, he got them cut out. So that's a personal passion of mine, is to help with that. So check the autoimmune section. We've got some gut soothing protocols you could use for that.
And then does this course address liver and gallbladder issues? I know it does.
Yeah, of course it does. You have to, because if you're working on the gut, you've got to make sure you're improving bile flow. And part of that is what works on mold detox too. So yeah, you always have to have liver, gallbladder addressed, adrenals as well.
Evan, what's the email if someone has another couple of questions about the course? You have to tell me again.
Office@evanbrand.com.
At Evan Brand. Oh, Clarissa, are you on this? .com. Okay, there you go. Can we order the testings ourselves during the course, or do we need a functional medicine doctor? Right, Jeff, good question. No, that's kind of the point, is that you can order the test through Evan's office. And that's the sort of way around that. So, and then you use the information you get from those tests with the course, which tells you how to build your own protocols.
There are some companies out there that are starting to offer. Sometimes the labs will offer direct. Sometimes you need practitioners. It's kind of weird, like state laws are changing, but you know, whatever. If you get it on your own or you need our help, we're happy to do it.
Right. Like we have a Rupa account where you can get a bunch of these tests. That's sort of not, you know, so you have support. Let's see. What about the Viome stool test? What do you think about that one?
Don't use it. Don't
Okay.
run it. I gave 2 thumbs down if you
Oh,
didn't see that.
I couldn't see because I'm reading. Okay. Lacey is saying, can breast implants cause gut imbalances? I have SIBO and major gut issues. Removing my implants, but doctors say implants can't mess with the gut. Meh, wrong. Thoughts?
Yeah, on my evanbrand.com homepage, which is my clinical page, in my little blurb there, my paragraph of what I specialize in, one of those is breast implant illness. It's a massive issue. Definitely need to get some testing done. And I think I've already got a breast implant illness case study in there, but I've got another one I need to do. So it's a massive problem. I'm seeing a lot of Botox reactions too. It's starting to freak me out.
In the Better Home course, do you recommend home products? Yes. And how would those products compare to products in countries other than the USA?
Well, it's all similar. Doesn't really matter where you are because we're talking the materials. Like this material is better than that material. This flooring's safer than that one. This insulation's better. So really, location wouldn't matter for that info.
Emily, he was talking about mycotoxin testing. That's how you test for the mold, leaky gut. What's your favorite leaky gut test, Evan?
Well, we could add on what's called zonulin, which is a more direct marker for leaky gut in the stool. But as you'll see in these case studies in the course, like you're really inferring leaky gut based on the infection. So really knowing leaky gut or not is probably less important than knowing the actual infection. So if people want to spend the extra money to prove on paper leaky gut, yes, no, or what the range is, then they can. But truthfully, it's probably not worth your money. I'd focus more on the infections.
All right, everybody, let's pop some love into the chat for Evan. Thank you so much for being here. I do hope you'll take advantage of this if it's a fit for you. If not, it's been great spending time with you. And it's an opportunity. The coupon does expire on 8/22. Today's 8/17, 2023. So if you are in the position to take advantage of it, I highly recommend it. If you aren't, it's totally cool. Again, it's so nice spending time with you all. It's a wonderful opportunity. Evan has a great track record and has a lot of insights that I don't see from other practitioners. And I see other benefits for other practitioners. So I'm not slashing anybody else, but it is a great course. I love the Better Home course. I love that you've given us the $500 off. And you all also get the IBS and SIBO Rescue Summit. That's what it's called, which is loaded as well. Do not be overwhelmed. Okay. Just get it, stare at it, play it in the background, decide that on, October 15th, you're going to start whatever works for you. It is there for you. He's not yanking the access like in a month or a year or anything like that. And again, he's still going to be adding to it periodically and updating it. So thank you. Thanks, Evan.
No, you're welcome, Siobhan. Thanks for having me. Yeah, just a closing note here for people. The stuff I'm teaching, I mean, maybe I got a little geeky and pumped and you're like, oh my God, like I'm too tired for all this. Like this is too much to take on. Some of these videos are just a few minutes. All you got to do is sit there and just look and just let me talk to you through these and let me baby step you. This is not really that hard. I mean, once you've done this 2,000-3,000 times, it really boils down to some simple action steps. So I just encourage you. This is not like a PhD level course that you gotta be like have a master's degree to understand this stuff. Okay. I mean, I do have like one testimonial I didn't show here, and then we'll wrap up. It was Dr. Judy. So this woman actually,
Yeah. Share your screen. Yeah.
Yeah. So this lady, she's built an incredible practice. I mean, her credentials are just insane already, but she actually took my course, and now even in her most complex cases, she's saying here that my knowledge and experience with lab interpretation and program design make the courses enjoyable and easy to understand. So this is a super smart woman telling you they're easy to understand. And also I've done some coaching with her. And so now she's killing it. I mean, this lady's just stellar. And now she's getting like tons of referrals because she's doing so good. And she looks good because she's getting results. So I just encourage you all to understand that this is not rocket science. It's probably easier to fix your gut than it is to change a tire on the highway in Los Angeles on the 405, because I've done it 2,000-3,000 times. So at a minimum, you're going to get better. Am I going to fix every little single nook and cranny and ache and pain without ever looking at you, talking to you, speaking with you? Maybe not. But can you get so much better that you're taking charge of your life again? Yeah, without a doubt.
All right, good. All right. Take care, everybody. Thanks, Clarissa, for being here. Thanks, y'all. Thanks, you all. Some of the tests are available outside the USA. You mentioned that already. Evan, how does that work?
Yeah, it's easier to just contact my office because we have different distributors. So I know there's one that we use in the UK. I had a client in Sweden this week. I had a client in Ireland this week. We had some clients in Australia this week as well. So my staff, Anne, ANNE, is my main gal. So Anne helps me run the show, and wherever you are, let us know. We'll make it work.
All right. All right. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll send the recording out tonight. And I hope it's a fit. And if it is, go for it before the 22nd. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks. Thanks, Evan.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Clarissa. Thank you.